So after a busy week this week, Hugo and I decided to head out for breakfast on Saturday morning. It was a really nice breakfast too, I might add. So there was a picture there of Hugo's plate. While we were sitting, just enjoying our coffee and hot chocolate in the morning, I was doing a little bit of sketching. I started with just pen on paper, just wake up the brain, get the eye-hand page coordination thing happening, just doing a little bit of sketching of what I could see around me, just sketching different objects on the table, trying to sketch Hugo, but he doesn't stop moving, so that's always tricky. And I was just kind of using a urban sketching style, so loose black outliner to start with, and then again loose vibrant watercolor to color in. I've been looking at a lot of urban sketches this week for inspiration, so I was playing around with that style of sketching. And I started here in my notebook just to kind of warm up and work out what I'd like to actually create a digital picture of, just by sketching around and working that out. So I decided that the plate of food was the winner, and so I set about sketching off the photo, so using the photo as reference rather than the actual item. Also because we didn't hang around, we got in and ate that breakfast while it was hot. So yeah, working from a photo, much more practical. So in my iPad with my Apple Pencil in the Procreate app, I started with the outliner. I think it's the Studio pen. Brought it right down to a small size. I think it was about 3 or 4%. And as you can see, I'm really loosely they're not even solid lines. I'm very sketchily with broken lines, just getting in enough just to show you where the edges of things are and to show you a little bit of texture within these objects. I'm not trying to use block thick line and kind of create that cartoony style. I'm trying to keep it loose and just enough. I just want to show you where the outlines are and where the texture lines are, and that's it. So I'm working my way through the plate. As you can see, I put the plate down first. I added that little sauce bowl, and now I'm kind of working my way through the plate. I'm trying to get my proportions relatively accurate and just kind of keep things in proportion to the photo, but I'm not going for photorealistic. This is meant to be an urban sketch style, so it's there to inspire. It's not meant to have lifelike realness. So I've worked my way around the plate, added eggs, hash browns, those awesome snow pea sprouts and kale leaves, and now I'm there at the bacon, just trying to get it all relatively well positioned. Now I've come down a layer from there so that sketch stays on top. I'm using quite a big watercolor brush now, and I'm just trying to block in color. So I'm not going for detail. I'm literally just trying to say this bit yellow, this bit orange, and block those colors in, just to kind of give myself a foundation layer of color that I can then come back through and work detail onto and under. So once I block those in, I've used a brush that's quite a lot bigger than what I would need because I didn't want it to be very liney. I wanted it to kind of fill those spaces. So I use the brush that's too big, and then the beauty with digital drawing is I can then just come back through with the eraser tool and cut back out the color that I don't want. So the color that's come outside the line, I just come back through and erase it away and just leave the color in the places that I want it to be. So once I've gone through with that base layer, if you can see now as I'm coming back through to those eggs where I've started, I'm now trying to work, I'm on a new layer again. I'm trying to get some more of the tonal variation. Because as you can see, the eggs aren't just one solid yellow color. There are shadow bits, there are bits that are darker, there are bits that are lighter. So I'm coming back through now with a smaller brush, trying to get some of that tonal variation in there. So I started with some shadow areas or some darker areas, and then I've come back through with a couple of different yellows and then a paler, almost white color, just to try and get that variation happening. And I'm doing this on a separate layer to that base layer so that I can undo it. I'm not kind of compromising that base layer. I could turn this whole layer off if I decide I don't like it. Or I can kind of scale back with opacity until it's somewhere where I like it to be. But I have the ability to play around with it if I keep everything happening on separate layers. So similarly, now I'm up to the hash browns and I'm doing the same thing. I'm coming back through, I started with that kind of mild orange everywhere. So now I'm coming back through with a deeper color to show those kind of crispier bits and the bits that are in shadow. And I'm also coming back through with a brighter golden, almost white color, just to show the bits that are capturing the light, that have some highlight to them. So trying to get some of that variation happening. And I decided it all needed a bit of bolstering. It wasn't solid enough, or it didn't have enough oomph. So I came underneath all of those layers and added another block layer in a richer color, just to really bring those out and make them pop. And as you can see, I had to then just erase the extra bits. Similarly, I'm doing the same kind of process now in the sprouts and the kale. I've come back through and I'm adding deeper greens where I need to, and then cutting back out that color where it's gone over onto the plate and where I don't want it to be. Working through the bacon, that was one of the hardest bits, I have to say, because it was tucked underneath the other objects. It was folded over itself, so the lines weren't as clear as to where things went. So that was tougher to draw, but I just tried to keep it loose, just kind of look at the picture and see, where am I seeing color, where is it darker, where is it lighter, and put that color in those places. So once the base layer is done and that first layer of detail is done, I've come underneath everything again and dropped in a base layer of color for the plate. I've lightened it up significantly from the photo, as you can see, because I didn't want it to kind of swallow up the food. So I've toned it down to a paler grey. And then over that base color, I'm now trying to add in a little bit of that variation to show the detail that's on the plate. The plate was actually speckledy, so I'm trying to get that speckledy effect. Again, just layering the watercolor brush over the foundation color layer, and then tidying up that edge by just erasing that color back out. So I wanted to just kind of bring some more highlight to the edge of this plate. It was kind of shiny, as you can see in the photo, right around that lip. So I'm lifting the color out there too, just to bring that out. And then down again in another layer, adding in some color for the table. Now I wanted to get a rich color because it was a nice dark marbly kind of table, but I didn't want to go black or gray again. So I've picked purple just because I thought it would make the food pop and look really nice. So I blocked that in, once again bringing out that shiny edge on the plate. Now I think at this point was when I started to worry, oh goodness, that's a lot of purple. So I've tried to break up that color for the eye with a bit of blue, and then I've turned down the opacity because I felt like it was too much. Playing around again with the opacity on the plate until I felt like it was balanced, and cutting more of that color away so the white could show through in the bacon. And there we go. As you can see, I adjusted that opacity once or twice more before I landed on something that I was happy with. It was a nice activity, just trying something new, playing around with different styles. I quite like this line art style with the color. I will continue to play around with it. And just a nice opportunity to stretch the brain on a Saturday. I love being creative, and I like to keep challenging myself to try different things.